Here are the best job search strategies this year. And when I say job search, we're going to be giving you tips that are related to finding jobs as well as applying and increasing your chances of actually getting an interview. And if you're looking for more career advice, make sure you click subscribe to the channel or share this with a friend who is looking for a job this year. The first job search strategy this year is that you need to be looking for jobs beyond just the most commonly known ones. So you need to be looking beyond Indeed, LinkedIn, and Google Jobs. Look at websites like angel.co, which highlights jobs specifically just for startups. Or Snag, which specializes in hourly jobs, which would include contract positions at major companies. Or check out usajobs.gov, which highlights only federal and government jobs. And the cool thing about this website is that it actually shows you the potential base salary pay before you even apply. And if you're looking for remote jobs, check flex.com. The next tip here is that if you've been applying for a lot of jobs but you're not getting that many interviews, it could be because the recruiters don't know how good you actually are at your job. And this is where creating your own personal website or blog or an online place to store your portfolio would be very helpful. You're going to want to include this at the top of your LinkedIn profile and at the top of your resume. For those of you who are engineers, you're going to want to make sure you update your GitHub, and you're going to want to make sure that your Google Scholar profile is fully updated with all of your publications, research, and patents. And for those of you who are in creative fields like graphic design or UX design, make sure you're uploading your portfolio to your personal website so that the recruiters and hiring managers can take a look and find out how good you really are. Now, this next job search strategy is typically done incorrectly, and the advice here is that you should be contacting recruiters and hiring managers directly so that you can bypass the ATS system and get yourself in front of them so they can actually review your resume and it doesn't get lost in the sea of applications. But you should only be doing this if you are an exact match for the job that they are hiring for. As a recruiter, I get messages all the time from candidates who are just simply not qualified for the jobs that I'm hiring for, or they're asking me to help them find jobs that I don't even recruit for. Also, keep in mind, if you contact a recruiter or hiring manager directly and they realize that you actually are not a match for their role, this actually hurts your chances of getting any future jobs at this company because it doesn't build your personal brand very well. Now, if you're wondering how you can actually find emails for these hiring managers and recruiters, you're going to want to use something like hunter.io. Now, my next piece of advice here is that the majority of your time when you're doing your job search should actually be spent on networking and practicing for your interviews. This is probably contrary to what you're thinking because I know so many people will spend hundreds of hours revising and creating multiple versions of their resume, which is simply not the most efficient way to do a job search. Updating your resume 100 times and applying to 100 jobs a week is not really going to make that much of a difference. Remember, your resume is a static snapshot of your work experience and accomplishments today. So no matter what you're doing with your resume and your formatting, it's not going to change what you have already done. Instead, what you should be doing is creating a version of your resume and then using it to apply for 20 jobs. You should be expecting around a 10% response rate. If you're not getting a 10% response rate, then it probably means you should maybe make some adjustments and tweak your resume. But keep in mind, this is a reflection of the market and what they believe your market value is to be. So the experience that you have currently on paper is not really enough to get these hiring managers and recruiters' attention and getting them to ask you to interview. So that's where the networking piece comes into play. Your resume could just be getting lost in the sea of applications, especially right now when it's a hyper-competitive market. So by you getting in direct contact with these hiring managers, recruiters, or getting your friends to give you work-endorsed referrals, this is actually going to get you a higher opportunity to interview. The next job search strategy is that you need to make sure that you have your references ready. You're going to want to have at least 3 professional references ready to go, and at least one of them should be a former manager. Getting these references ready is going to be especially important if you were fired in your last job, if you were laid off, if you're coming back to work after taking a long break, or if you're doing a career switch. Now, on these reference calls, they're obviously going to be asking how good of an employee you are, but more importantly, they're going to be asking for specific examples that can demonstrate why you are so good at your job. So you're going to want to go ahead and tee up some of these examples and give them to your references ahead of time so that they have actually good answers to share. Next, make sure you are utilizing your college career center as part of your job search. Even if you graduated over 10 years ago, all of you have alumni access to your alumni databases, your alumni job boards, which gives you access to certain jobs that may not be posted on LinkedIn and Indeed. Also, you can utilize the alumni database for networking opportunities. It's going to get you access to a whole lot of people that you never even knew about in your industry and field. And of course, because you have the same alma mater, they are more likely to actually want to go ahead and take the time to talk to you. Similarly, you should join a professional group or association in your industry and field of work. It's going to be a great networking opportunity, and they often host events in partnerships with companies for recruiting. And a lot of the biggest professional associations will actually share a book of resumes directly with companies of their members. And this is a list that you're definitely going to want to be on. Now, my last strategy here is that you should be networking like crazy. I know this is super obvious, but I'm going to give you some pro tips here that can actually enhance your networking skills and make it a lot more efficient for you. You're going to want to spend the majority of your time networking with the super connectors in your field. This is going to be most efficient for you and will actually give you the most job referrals. Because instead of networking with 10 or 20 different people just to get these opportunities, you only need to network with just one super connector. For those of you who don't know, a super connector is basically someone very senior in your industry who has very good social skills and a very strong network, who can vouch for you and give you introductions to all of the people in their network. In addition to these professional super connectors, you're also going to want to make sure you keep in touch with the recruiters that you work with, especially those that have hired you into your companies. Also, when you're trying to figure out who to network with, the more senior the person that you can network with and impress, the better, because obviously they actually have decision-making power and influence in the business. And their referrals are going to carry a whole lot more weight, and in some cases, you may not even have to interview if you network with the right senior person or executive. Now, if you want to learn more networking tips so you aren't wasting your time and embarrassing yourself, you're going to want to watch this video right here. All right, make sure you utilize all of these job search strategies this year and throw in the comments what other tips you have for our listeners. Thank you all for watching, and don't be afraid to shake things up.